Hello, my name is Lauren Huffmaster, and I am the founder of Adventure Therapy Foundation. I am the co-creator of Rise, a social impact app for restorative practices in cancer experience, and I am a metastatic cancer survivor of 5 years. Today, I wanted to tell you about my organization, Adventure Therapy Foundation, and the work that we do there. You can find information about Adventure Therapy Foundation at adventurefound.org. Adventure Therapy was designed out of my cancer experience. As a young adult with cancer, with young children in the house, I recognize the significance of the impact of cancer on a family unit, and the children. Even though they are not cancer survivors themselves, their life experiences are designed and created by the cancer experience that I live out. Because of that, I designed Adventure Therapy to address the emotional side effects of cancer. And this is what's really important to me. And all the stories I've listened to from different survivors, from all the research that I've done, it's the emotional side effects of cancer that are really important for me to address in my life and with my story. I see a lot of work done in the medical community and with awareness around medical needs, but I don't see the work that needs to be done around a whole person perspective about restorative well-being. And this is my life's journey. This is my life story to address these things, to create tools that address these pieces of the cancer experience. In my research and in the stories that I've listened to, I've identified 3 specific areas where people are impacted by cancer emotionally. Those areas are isolation, identity, and fear. The isolation piece is really simple to recognize in your mind. When people are identified with cancer, when they're diagnosed, they often come to me and say, the people in my life don't get it, but the people that do get it, I can't really find. And so this is just a very, very common experience in the cancer world. And usually if you can just find just one person who gets it, one person who has walked the same walk, who can identify that what you're experiencing is completely normal, that one person is all it needs to give you hope to keep moving forward. Well, how hard is that to help people find people, right? We have all this technology to do that, yet we haven't taken the technology and applied it to the cancer experience. And that is one thing I'm working on for sure, is connecting people within a region, getting them face to face, having them meet up, having them rebuild their life after cancer with survivors at their side. Because a cancer experience does not end when your treatments are over. The cancer experience extends for years, sometimes 5 years. You're carrying the weight of that cancer diagnosis with you. This is also something I'm trying to reduce. I don't want that cancer experience to be defining you 5 years later. I truly want the cancer experience for you to have time to, in a healthy way, process, to mourn the past, to mourn what you've lost, to mourn who you are no longer going to be, to sit with that for a moment, to understand it, and then to begin to plan for a purposeful future. And that's the second piece of this emotional side effects of cancer, is the identity. One's identity is about your strengths, about how you spend your time, how you spend your talent. Well, when you are diagnosed with cancer, so many of those strengths are halted, if only for a season. They're still halted. And that pause in your life makes you realize that they could be paused in the future, that momentary experience, whether it's a month, 6 months, a year, that experience of having your identity put on hold creates uncertainty in your heart, because cancer could come back and all of that could be lost again. And so someone's identity is significantly impacted when they receive a cancer diagnosis. And you can imagine this with men whose identity perhaps is to care for their family, or to bring in good income, or to be a protector. Well, all of those things can truly be impacted by cancer, can be halted for a season. And that's not a very easy thing to shake. As a woman, even though we are more used to adjusting our identity through childbearing and all the different roles we play in parenthood, it's still a significantly deep, impactful moment when you have a cancer diagnosis. No longer can you do the actions of a parent. No longer can you recall the information you need or multitask or do all the things that made you who you are. And in your identity, in this piece of the side effects of cancer, we must first and foremost look to the past and acknowledge what has been lost. Everyone's going to lose at least one piece of who they were with cancer. But it doesn't have to be all about what you've lost. The cancer experience can be so much about what you will gain. Identity looks at that, looks at what you've lost. Who are you today? Who are you today? What are your strengths? What has cancer taught you? How much resilience do you have? What is the strength that you found inside of you that you didn't know was there before? And taking that knowledge and then looking forward, moving forward, finding a purpose that's relevant in your future. So this is a transitionary space in the emotional side effects of cancer. It takes time. This is why the cancer process impacts us for 5 years, because this takes time. I don't believe it has to take 5 years. I believe that this identity shifting moment can happen in 2 years in a very healthy way if we are intentional. If instead we ignore it and we push it back, yes, it's going to follow us for much, much longer. But this is something I'm working on. I'm working on technology that helps us to identify how to shift our identity in a healthy way by acknowledging and addressing what's going on inside of us. The third piece is fear, and we all are afraid around cancer. The whole world has a fear perspective around cancer. We don't have to, though. Technology is changing. The meds that are available are changing. The treatments are making us live with cancer so much longer than we had ever imagined, but yet cancer still holds a cloud of fear over the entire world. And so this third piece of the emotional side effects of cancer is very important to address, because I say it all the time, fear is more contagious than cancer. We pass fear on to our children, pass it through our relationships. We carry it with us long beyond the cancer has impacted our bodies. And so fear has the ability to destroy our lives more than cancer ever can. So we must be very aware of the fear that's in our lives. We must be aware of the fear that's around cancer in other people's lives, in relationships that are impacted. That fear is present. In our family, when they're impacted, it's because that fear is present. And so this emotional side effects of cancer are impacting us much farther along in our life than cancer or cancer's treatments. And that's why I think it's incredibly important that we pause and, yes, address the treatments, get better medications, but also we must begin to see how cancer impacts our lives outside of the physical. It is for this reason that I've dedicated my life, my cancer story, and the story of so many people who come to me to help to fix these problems, to restore us to emotional well-being, to restore our emotional well-being. This is what's important, and this is what Adventure Therapy does through our programs. We provide a flagship opportunity of sending you on a free vacation. That's wonderful, and it's a great catch. It's a great way to draw people in. But once people are come to Adventure Therapy, I then go to the heart. I go to turn to coaching them, talking to them, asking them the hard questions, and asking them to ask their family hard questions. They need to address inside of their family, inside those relationships that mean the most, the impact of cancer. Because if we ignore it, it will only remain. It doesn't go away. So we have to talk about it with those we love the most. We have to give each other permission to say that it's hard, to say this is not fun, I don't want it. But we spend so much time protecting each other. Sometimes our walls of protection become walls of isolation. And this is something we need to work to overcome. So Adventure Therapy provides retreats for families, specifically families with school-aged children living in the home. And then the second The second thing I've worked to create is called Rise. And Rise is an innovative app bringing restorative habits to cancer survivors. Rise is coming this summer. It'll be released. You can find information about it at risefound.org. Rise is an app that looks at your region. The vision for this came to me when I was considering my own diagnosis process. I sat in a small room with white walls and a round table that filled up almost the entire room, with a stranger on one side, my husband and I on the other, and we were handed a humongous binder with everything bad that could possibly happen to me during the cancer experience. And when I walked out, I carried that binder with me. Here is literally the weight of cancer. Carry it with you. Go out the door. And when I think about how I would redo that circumstance, that moment in time that shifted everything for me, I thought, I just wish there was one piece of paper, one flyer, one brochure that said, but here's all the good. There is good in cancer. There are people that you'll be bonded with for life. There's strength that you never knew you had. There's the opportunity to let go all of those things that you accumulated along the way that you never really intended to. You can let it go. You can focus your life on what's important, and you can keep moving with a lighter load because of cancer. But I've designed Rise, an app, to help you along this process. Rise will connect you with people in your region, connect you face-to-face with meetups, connect you face-to-face with resources, nonprofits, groups, all in your region, all around the cancer experience. Rise is about raising up our community, not the idea of a community, but an actual community of cancer survivors in a region. When you log on to Rise, there'll be a content available from other survivors, encouraging you to still stay strong, to hope, to find something else that's good. The cancer survivors on this app will speak directly to you and tell you what they found, what helped them along, who are they now, and what do they wish they had known at the beginning. Rise will give survivors, longtime survivors, the opportunity to mentor and coach the newly diagnosed, and it'll give the newly diagnosed the opportunity to find hope in the future of the cancer, the survivor that they will become. Rise also provides nonprofits a streamlined app technology where they can distribute all of their events in one platform, in one region. You can also describe your events for all over the nation, but we're really looking at community here. So the nonprofits who choose to use the app, they can use the app to gather information about the survivors in their region, about their current reach, their potential reach, the demographics, but mostly it simplifies the process. One platform to reach out, one platform for survivors to find community, a real community, not just the idea of one. We've been working on Rise for a year, and again, it's inspired by my story, about what I wish I had. How do I wish the next person diagnosed can experience the cancer community? I want them to be able to have a platform where they look at it and they can see themselves on a map, and they can see hundreds, if not thousands, of other survivors all around them. So from that very first instance, isolation is never a problem. Isolation doesn't even exist. They know that they have people in their life. All they have to do is tap and find them. It will also eliminate and move people from fear to hope and to purpose, because the app encourages you to engage, to find out the answers to the questions that are holding you back, to help you move out of the rut after a cancer diagnosis and begin to engage into a future. The app also helps move you from your identity brokenness, this place where your identity is just so unsure, and help you establish where you want to be in the future. Again, with people, with the resources in the region, with the meetups where you can lead. You can help others find their way. You can create yoga or meditation meetups. You can help others move forward. Find out what is important to you in this new season. All of these things are so important to me. I think they're going to revolutionize the cancer experience. I'm so thankful I got to share my story today, to express this to you, and I look forward to speaking to you in the future. Thank you. My cancer story started in 2015 when I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. When I was diagnosed, I had already known for a few months that I had a lump in my breast. I had just finished breastfeeding my daughter, and I didn't think anything of a lump in my breast, and because I was breastfeeding her and I knew that changes in my breast were occurring. And so I didn't seek medical attention right away. I waited, and as I finished breastfeeding my daughter and then realized that this lump was not disappearing and in fact was getting sort of larger, I knew at that time that it was time for me to go seek medical attention. When I finally met with an oncologist after being diagnosed, the cancer was starting to burst through my skin. So I had 3 nodules who had broken through the top of my the breast. And at that point, I was desperate for chemo. If the tumor was going to grow this quickly and spread so quickly, then I had to get in there as soon as possible. I received all the traditional treatments, chemo, radiation. I had a double mastectomy and a deep flap reconstruction. And that process took about 1.5 years. After that 1.5 years, we stopped the responsive treatments and started moving toward proactive treatments. We decided to go ahead and do a hysterectomy, so that I could eliminate all the estrogen in my body. It was a very difficult choice for me, given my age, but I didn't see any other way to prevent the cancer from coming back. And when I went in for some scans before that surgery, that is when they found that I had stage 4 metastatic breast cancer in my bones. My cancer had spread from my ribs up and down all the way back, my back, my hips, and my legs. I had never had any kind of physical awareness that it was there. There was no pain in my back, no pain in my legs. It was only discovered because I had a scan before a surgery. After we found the cancer, we rushed through and got the oophorectomy to eliminate all of that estrogen. And then we began a treatment called Kisqali. It's a mild chemo for those living with metastatic breast cancer. At that time, of course, I also was willing to try anything, and my parents strongly recommended that I leave no stone unturned. So at that time, I met with a naturopathic doctor, and we met for the following few years. And I did a number of major changes in my diet. I, at that point, chose to be a plant-based, low-carb diet. Chose a plant-based, low-carb diet. A doctor at Stanford, though most doctors, oncologists, won't tell you anything about what kind of food you should eat, she said that some people have success with a keto diet and some people have success with a plant-based diet. So I wanted to try anything, so I chose them both. And that's what I did for a few years without any kind of breaks. So I continued on Kisqali for the first year. In the first 6 months of Kisqali, we did not know if it was working. It seemed that my scans were having flares, and we couldn't decide if it was new cancer growth, new bone growth, just a flare from where the cancer was dying. And so we proceeded with the treatment for quite some time. After 6 months, it became clear that the cancer was not growing, and that was a huge sigh of relief for sure. During the first 6 months, I also pursued naturopathic treatments, and at that time, I was recommended to use a white mistletoe treatment, and I went in for infusions every week for quite some time. And the infusions were supposed to boost my immunity so that my body had the ability to fight. And they had slight flu-like symptoms just for about 12 hours after each infusion. But I continued with that because it was recommended, and there was some research showing that that could also help kill the cancer. During the first 6 months, in the first year, the cancer really did not change much. It remained exactly as it showed, but it was not spreading either. So that was very good, just to have stability. The second year was much of the same. I stuck to my strong dietary restrictions, and then I continued with both my naturopathic treatments of supplements. We have a lot of supplements, mushroom supplements. We have a lot of supplements to minimize my side effects. So that was the main goal for me. Personally, I'm not one who can say that the supplements will cure my cancer, but I was very interested in minimizing side effects. And so I have some supplements that flush out my liver, some that protect my heart, and then some that boost my immune system, and then any research possible about killing breast cancer, we take those as well. So I have quite a bit of supplement regime, as well as my food remaining in keto and plant-based. And that was year 2. I didn't have very many side effects at all from my medication, so it was very stable, very good year, really, in your cancer treatments. When it came to February of the end of the second year, I went in for a scan, just like I always do every 3 months. And while I was on the table, the tech came up to me and said, "I don't think we need to continue." And I said, "What?" And she said, "I don't see any cancer in your body." Of course, I did not believe her. And I told her to keep scanning because I'm sure it was there. But she scanned, and the radiologist said, "There's no skin. There's no cancer in my body." I was no evidence of disease, NED. My oncologist took this with a grain of salt, given that it was the first change on the data points of my life, and ignored it, but acknowledged that this time the cancer was mutating. So it was actually, she thought, a very precarious situation for me. So we increased the number of scans I had over the next few months, and the next 3 scans showed no evidence of disease. That was a year ago, and my body still seems to be free of any visible cancers. It took my oncologist a few months to acknowledge this, but at this point she agrees that there's no evidence of disease in my body. It seems that the Kisqali, which has a 2-year shelf life, 2 years of active treatment typically, but after that point your cancer mutates. And when it mutates, it often finds a way around that Kisqali and therefore spreads very quickly. In my case though, when at that 2-year mark, almost to the day, the cancer mutated, but when it mutated, somehow it disappeared. Now it's been exactly a year, and I still have no evidence of disease in my body. This has definitely propelled me forward with my story, my ability to serve the cancer community, my ability to make long-term plans and how we can bring change to the cancer community. And I'm very thankful for the medicine. I truly believe the naturopathic doctors have helped me along the way to feel strong and healthy while I take these chemos. And I do continue to take both the traditional and non-traditional meds as I move forward. But today, I sit before you, no evidence of disease for 1 year, and I'm excited to bring my story and all that I've learned in my cancer experience to this conference. Thank you.